Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Now today we're doing a bit of an update on the previous video, very briefly, because something else has been found here, which fits into everything else that I've shown before, and I'm not really surprised about it. So we're going to start off here today with Sol 1278. This is the Mars houses video, which I did a few days ago. Now they're not really houses as such, they're more like bunkers, I would say. It's hard to say either way. Either way, they're in ruins. It's hard to say. They may have been houses at one point, but they were probably used as military bunkers as well. If you remember my previous video, I showed you these structures here. We got this kind of rectangular bunker-like house structure, or ruined house, or whatever it may be. And there's also another one here at the back, which is not in great shape. It's got holes all around it and kind of broken and split up, okay? But we have a rectangular structure here and we have a rectangular structure here. Now the chances of that happening in nature twice in one area are billions to one, okay? Absolutely unbelievably low odds for that happening, right? Okay, now I went back over this as I was, after I did that previous video, I went back over this and found this, okay, just in front of this bunker structure at the back, or ruined house, whatever it is. There is a dead warrior lying in the sand facing up, and you can see an eye, a helmet, and a nose, and the mouth with something coming out of the mouth. Now, this is interesting, and I'm just going to show you a close-up of it now. And what I did is I've turned it round, cropped it, flipped it round, and then I've colorized it to make it clearer to see what we're actually looking at. And this is a dead Martian, or dead alien, whatever you want to call him. It looks like a him. And it's astonishing eye detail. This may be an injury here, shot in the eye maybe, or something, or this may be goggles actually, because we're only seeing one eye, so there may be goggles here. I have found others with goggles. And you've got a very clear nose and nostril area here, and the mouth, there's something coming out of here, a light coloured object. It's a bit unclear, that, because of the way the light's hitting it, but even in the raw image you can see the eye just here. Some strange eye detail around the eye, like that. There's the nose. Okay. Top lip here, bottom lip here. And there's the mouth coming back like that. And there's a pasty, light coloured object sticking out. This is probably breathing apparatus, as I've shown in other previous videos very recently. If you go back a week or two through my videos on my channel, you'll see that I've found others with breathing apparatus, and I've even got a playlist as well. About Martians with breathing gear, okay? And I'll link to that in the comments below and in the description. But this isn't very clear when you look at the raw image, because it's got this orange filter on it, so you need to remove that filter and do something like this, which has been colour corrected, right? It's been colour corrected, and I've colorized the face area, because you can clearly see, even in the raw image here, that this helmet comes around like this, down to the chin, and this may even be part of it as well here, right? It's hard to say, but we got some object just obfuscating part of it here, sticking up, so that is annoying. So we're missing a little bit of chin detail there, so it's hard to say exactly what's going on there. But basically, you can see what it is. I mean, it's pretty unmistakable what it is. But what is very strange about this is the eye detail. Now, this person has either been shot in the eye, and it's erupted here, or these are goggles. You've got some jagged detail here, but some dark eye detail here as well, right? So these may be some kind of goggles, protective goggles. The nose is very clear, and the nostril very clear indeed. Upper lip, and then lower lip here, and we've got the edge of the helmet coming right round like this, which is kind of jagged, as if it's kind of broken. This may have had a visor on it or something, I don't know. And it comes up like that, and it comes round to here. And obviously part of this is buried, so this probably would have come to this sort of shape, perhaps, almost like a Greek helmet. As some of the others I've shown have, they look kind of almost Greco-Roman in style, some of the helmets they wore. But quite old-fashioned looking, very old-fashioned looking. But if you look really carefully, there's something coming out of the mouth here. Just here, there's a shadow just there, but it's very unclear. So this may be semi-transparent material, like plastic or something else. Who knows? But it looks like it may be some kind of breathing apparatus, like I've shown in other videos. Very interesting. But the eye detail to me was extraordinary in this, because this is either an injury where it's been shot in the eye, or what could have happened here is the eye has erupted. If he had a visor over this, there may be a visor coming down over the face, perhaps over this whole thing. Who knows? But if that was broken, then his eye would probably have erupted because of the very, very low air pressure. So this may be an instance of an erupted eye caused by low air pressure and the water in the eye boiling and expanding, causing the eye to erupt. So that this could be an eruption injury due to low air pressure. And it's yet another example of a Martian wearing a helmet, Martian warrior wearing a helmet, lying in the dirt. And this one happens to be right next to a ruined building, okay? And you can see the ruined building just behind it up here. So there's the soldier, just there. Just behind it we have a ruined building. Now, this looks like it's been hit by an explosion. In fact, most of the stuff does in Gale Crater. It's all ruined. And there was a battle here. I have done a whole bunch of videos recently this year called Battlefield Mars. I think I've done 2 or 3 in fact. And I've done some gigapans showing all the tanks and cannons and weapons that are lying around on the ground. Here's one of them. I'm not going to show you them all now because you can link to them from the description, but also from this gigapan there will be links to the Battlefield Mars stuff as well, because not far from here there are things like machine guns and cannons and tanks and all sorts of things in amongst all this debris and in these little valley areas. In between what were structures. A lot of these were structures here. We're only seeing a couple here. This one here, which I showed in the previous video. This is one of the clearest, found by Chris Moroney from Mars Anomalies channel. Now, not all of this is just made of rock. Some of these things on the ground are probably metal objects and parts of weaponry and stuff like this here, complex eroded metal objects, okay? And this is one of them. Now, this is Sol 1280, okay? Now, I found this 2 years ago, right? And this one is Sol 1278. So there's only 2 days apart between this Sol and this one, which is the one with the houses or bunkers, right? If you were this rover just here and you were to look just to the left and down to the left on the ground, just here, you would see this, right? Because it shows on both days. But in this one, from Sol 1280, we can see the whole thing. This is a machine gun. I called it the Mars Mechanism Corroded Machine Gun, found 2 years ago, okay? And you can even see a bolt action thing. This is some kind of machine gun or something very similar to it. And there are many, many other things that are similar to this that have been found, not just by me, but by lots of researchers around the world. Things like handguns, machine guns, cannons. I found a whole bunch of things like cannons and all sorts of weaponry lying around. And not all of it is modern. This is what I would call quasi-modern. Basically, I think that the level of technology on Mars was at a level that we were in the sort of 1950s, when Mars was basically destroyed, when the atmosphere was destroyed in a nuclear war. Now, we're told by Dr. John Brandenburg that that nuclear war happened probably a million years ago or millions of years ago. I don't think that's true. I think it was in 1941. And I think they were roughly at the same level of advancement or technology as we were at that time, give or take 20, 30, 40, maybe 100 years either way. Who's to say? Because most of the things I'm finding look like they were from the 1950s. The cars, the weaponry, and all sorts of other relatively modern things look like they were from that era. But what we may be seeing is a mixture, because the problem is, effectively, that the Mars battlefield in Gale Crater took place. There was a battle here. It took place in what is effectively an open museum. Now, a lot of these ridges and mounds contain ancient buildings and burials that go back many, many, many thousands of years, possibly millions of years. But then we have dead soldiers and things like machine guns and weapons lying around on the ground, wreckage everywhere, vehicles, ships, boats, planes, that kind of thing, even missile wreckage that I've shown. Now, the thing is, what this says to me is that the final battle for this area took place in an ancient area that was inhabited going back many thousands of years, with many, many thousands of years worth of ancient artifacts half buried in the sand already. Imagine if you were to have a battle in an area like Cairo or Rome, between the ancient ruins, but with modern soldiers, with modern weapons. And then there was a nuclear war and everything got wiped out and ruined even more, and then you came along and looked at it, say, 100 years later. That's a bit like what we're seeing. We're seeing ancient relics, ancient buildings, and ancient remains, but with modern remains and debris, war debris, and artifacts interdispersed on it and amongst it. A very, very complex thing to get your head around. And I do struggle with it because I keep finding things that look very ancient and I keep finding things that look very modern. Or quite modern. Okay, it's very complex and hard to get across. But basically, this is military wreckage, interdispersed with old buildings that were probably used as bunkers by the soldiers on the ground, using these old structures as cover, okay? And this may explain why we have holes in some of these things as well, because they may have poked rifle holes through them to shoot through, or something like you would see in the Middle East. A lot of the buildings there, they basically have holes poked through so they can shoot through them, like sniper holes and stuff, you know, sniper slots, that kind of thing. And there are lots of other bunker type structures in the area with machine guns mounted on top of them with slots in them. Areas like this were just used as convenient cover for the troops either attacking Mount Sharp or defending it. I'm not sure which way round that was, but there was definitely a battle here, and it may have been between an alien race and the Martians, or two different types of people on Mars. We don't know, but there are very complex ruins and remains all over the place, and interdispersed with that we have art and pyramids and murals and statues in amongst all this wreckage. So it's very complex. If you follow the links below in the description, there is a link to the main Gigapan page, ArtAlienTV Gigapans. If you follow that link, it will take you to this, and you can go through this yourself. There are all sorts of military things like wreckage in amongst a lot of these structures, okay? And this is a good example. We have a cannon on this one, which is this one here. Okay, I didn't find this. This was found by Luis C. Franco. Awesome find, one of my favourites. But it corresponds very closely to some of the other things like this, which I found years ago. And this one that was found by Vladimir Vladimirov, this tank. There's a missile here, or probably an aircraft actually, with a pilot still sat in it there. There's a pilot, there's his head, there's his eye, there's his nose. Aircraft, right? Machine guns. Troopers with breathing gear. This one's got breathing gear also, okay? So there are multiple examples of these. This one looks more modern. Multiple examples of weapons lying around. There's this gun, which is quite large. Just lying on the ground in the lake bed. There's that machine gun again, the one I just showed you. I call it the mechanism, but it's actually an eroded metal machine gun encrusted in clay, and the clay is eroded away, exposing the metal machine gun parts here along the top here. I can see the complex parts that go in between. So there's military wreckage all over the place. There's another one here. There's another machine gun. This one, if you watch this, if you follow the link to this one here, this will take you to all these. You can follow all these links. This one is actually on top of a bunker structure with slots in it, like machine gun or viewing ports. Okay? So it looks like a lot of these structures, which a lot of them which are very, very ancient, well, they're all very, very ancient, were converted into military bunkers, a lot of them, later on, and were dug into, and they were used as cover in a battle, because they make very good natural cover. It's like a massive kind of trench system almost. And when you look at this, it's reminiscent of some of the trenches you might see in World War I. It really is. So these things were used as cover. Now, it doesn't mean they were built by the soldiers. A lot of these things were converted or just used by them as cover. Okay? It's yet another example of a dead alien on Mars, or dead Martian. Looks very much like some of the other Martians that I've found. So I'm guessing this guy's indigenous and not from another planet attacking. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you soon.